A parenting plan is a comprehensive agreement made between you and your co parent that governs how you're going to raise your child or children. It'll include the basics, things like where the child will live and what time the child spends with each parent. It also includes things like who's going to make decisions for your child or your children about important things like religion, education, and mental health care, and any other really important things that affect them growing up. But a parenting plan is more than that. A parenting plan is also going to include some of those non tangibles. What are we going to do about the age our children get cell phones? What are we going to do about the age we're going to allow our children to get learner's permits to figure out how to drive? And what about discipline? How are we going to handle discipline? And is it going to be the same across both households, or are we going to do parallel parenting where we each do our own thing? What about children's birthdays? Are we going to celebrate them together or are we going to celebrate them separately? And what about holidays? Are we going to buy one joint really big gift or are we each going to do our own thing and hopefully not compete with each other on the side? Parenting plan really helps people envision what their children's growing up years are going to be like and helps make a plan. And if you and your co parent can truly view yourselves as co CEOs of the business of running your children's lives, you're going to be better off. There are a lot of steps to creating a parenting plan, but the first is for you and your co parent to each write your own. You might be surprised at where there's commonalities or even surprised at where there's differences. You might agree on a lot more than you think you are or be further apart than you ever thought. So each of you write down what you want. If someone was coming to me wanting to do a parenting plan, either me serving as a parent coordinator, as a mediator, or as an advocate for one or the other parties, I'm going to give them a comprehensive custody questionnaire. I'm going to ask them things like where should their children go to school? Should parents pay for college? I'm going to ask them things like should children be required to participate in sports? Or can they be allowed to choose whatever activity they want to participate in? Or should they be required to do one of each? Do I believe in private tutoring or private school? Or do I believe in children learning on their own through guided tutoring sessions online? I'm going to figure out all those different details with my client or with each one and see where there are overlaps and where there are gaps. I'm also going to discuss the big hard topics. Guys, you're going to laugh about this one, but who gets to choose the Halloween costume is a big topic. Everybody has an opinion about the Halloween costume. But also things like what about online freedom? At what age should a child not be monitored anymore? And what age should they be? Should parents be reading their children's text messages and to what age? You want to get on the same page as your co parent up front about as many of these topics as you can. Because the more aligned you are, the more you have a parenting plan that you both are going to follow, the more consistency your child's going to have and the less fights you're going to have later. Parenting plans can always be changed. First, children change. They have different needs. Let's say you have a 3-year-old child and you made a parenting plan that sounded great, but when the child was in 7th grade, the world has changed so much, and so has that child. Maybe when your child was 3, you had this idea that no screen time more than an hour a day until they're in high school. Guess what? In middle school, they have a Chromebook and they're on the screen all the time. So you may have to reevaluate and readjust your parenting plan. There are a few different ways to do this. First, you and your co parent can sit down and work it out yourselves. Second, you can go to a mediator or even a family therapist and work out your parenting plan. Finally, you can always go to a parenting coordinator, someone like me, who is trained to help parents work through their issues so that they can come to an agreement for what to do about their children. But your parenting plan can always be changed because families are always changing and children are changing, especially as they're growing up. A parenting plan that has been incorporated but not merged into a custody order is enforceable for the most part. What I mean by that is court orders in general are enforceable. And if your court order says a child's going to go to a specific school, they're going to go to a specific school. Here's the exception. If somebody files to modify the custody order, meaning the order that incorporates but not merges the parenting plan, then it is up for debate whether or not the parenting plan is in the best interest of the child. And ultimately, that's something a court's going to have to decide. Parenting plans are wonderful comprehensive agreements that can help you and your co parent get on the same page about how to raise your child. And they're not something for everybody, but it is something that can really help your children live a more peaceful life. At Z Family Law, we don't write endings, we create new beginnings. And our logo is the tree for a reason. When I designed the logo for the tree, I picked a tree because I view divorce as reorganizing a family. And when you have two different branches of the tree going off into two different directions, they still have to support all the little leaves and all the little offshoots. And if one branch falls down, the other's going to get pulled down with it, which means your children are going to get pulled down. So, the right way to reorganize a family is to strengthen everybody so that everybody rises together and has a great new beginning. If you want us to help you with your new beginning, click below.